So the other alternative is to make a corset and to make some panniers. And this book is very, very popular with the costume business. It's called Corsets and Crinolines. It's pretty old now, but it gives you a pretty comprehensive look at the variety of corsets throughout the ages, as well as the different types of crinolines and panniers that have been used throughout the ages, and some nice instructions on how to draft the pattern. So I'm going to have to make something for my little half-size mannequin. Here's another close-up again of the front cover of Corsets and Crinolines, which is a very popular book in the costume business in constructing foundation garments for costumes. And so from this book, I located the 18th century corset pattern, and you can see it's kind of just a primitive graph of the basic shapes to use. And so I took these shapes and I applied them to my half-scale mannequin and created a pattern, and I drew out the pattern, and since I don't have a sewing machine at home, I had to sew all the channels by hand. So in these channels is going to go all the boning in order to make this bodice very stiff. And then here you can see it completed on the dress form. So now I have the understructure, at least the corset, in order to continue draping. It's always nice to have original illustrations from the period to kind of see how people felt about the foundation garments. And so here is an illustration called The Old Coquette. So she's got her panniers on and she has her corset on, and she kind of has a loose-fitting gown underneath it, which is basically her underwear. So this is the pattern for the panniers that I'm going to be using. And instead of doing an entire skirt, that's too much work, I'm just going to end it at the second row of boning here. So again, you can see here, this is to scale. So every 1/8 of an inch is 1 inch. So at a half scale, that means every 1/8 of an inch is a 1/2 inch. So using a lot of math, I had to create the pattern, which I drafted. And then I cut out the pieces and I sewed it together, and I made the panniers for the half-scale model. So now I have the foundation garments completed. And here's the corset that I built for a half-scale. I'm just going to place it on the mannequin now. It fits pretty good. And I have to close it up in the back. If this were a human, you could squeeze the human flesh and squish it and make it really tight. But this mannequin is made out of like sawdust and canvas, so you can't do a lot of squishing, which is also very good for actors because corsets, as uncomfortable as they look, are not actually meant to squish people. They're just supposed to cover the body and not allow them to move. So here's the corset. See the side view. The back I'll have to pin down. And then there's these little flaps here that that help when you put additional skirts on top. So we have the corset here, and then here I have my panniers. And these usually lie slightly below the waist because you want your waist to be the tiniest point possible. So when you place the skirt, you want to have it just a tiny bit below the waist. And here are the panniers. And now we're ready to go.